Alles klar. Hello together. Thanks a lot. Just one small correction. Amir Awan from Menthol Protocol. We were it was quite spontaneous. I had the pleasure of meeting Dennis in Miami last week for Art Basel, where, yeah, he not only opened a lot of doors over there, but actually also this great event over here and allowing us to talk about ReFi, which is climate meets crypto. So yeah, I think exchanging ideas, knowledge, and partnering, yeah, maybe creating complex solutions have never been more important than now, and we've got interesting tools for that. So yeah, thanks a lot for this. Before talking about today's topic, namely why the next bull run will be the most regenerative one, um, just a very high-level idea or what we have over here. We've got climate actually being enhanced by Web3 in different ways in a very, very interesting and deep-reaching way. So today from the supply side, we are like an aggregator for tokenized carbon credits and other social impact tokens. We want to talk about this topic, and then we'd also like to see from the demand side how one can actually use that, even in the metaverse. So I also had the pleasure of meeting Nicolas like 4 months ago for the first time on the travels. Like we've been traveling a lot. B2B marketing requires events. And yeah, Nicolas, he will, I think, explain in a nicer way what he does. But besides having an incubator and also investing in us personally, he has a one-stop solution for metaverses, allowing everybody to create, build, and invest into it. And how that can be mixed with the ReFi, that's something which we'd like to talk about today. But here, please, love to give over, and please tell us a bit about yourself, your journey in Web3, and maybe what ReFi, why ReFi is interesting for you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Amir. And yeah, also from my side, I think the bios on both are a bit incorrect. But yeah, I'm Nicolas, founder of MetaGameHub DAO and DAC. DAC is an incubator and fund focusing on DAO, Metaverse, data, and gaming related projects. And MetaGameHub, as Amir perfectly said, is a one-stop shop for the Metaverse, where we holistically support from investing, building to experiencing, right? So we have different analytical tools based on AI for appraisals of lands and other NFTs. We have metaverse development with our metaverse development team, as well as with a builder. And we also have different experiences that we co-create with brands, IP, as well as communities, right? And personally, I've been in the crypto space since 2016, was initially more focusing on, and that's correct actually, a bit trading and investing, but then back in 2018, 19, I focused more on the building side of also the security token space a bit, with Amazing Blocks, where we're the first to tokenize equity, and also have a bankers incorporation with ETH as initial capital contribution, but then really shifted my focus more toward the metaverse and the more, let's say, Web3 style ecosystem. And talking about ReFi, why it's relevant for us is because, I mean, this is something that affects, I think, everyone, right? Whether you're a digital native or not. And of course, and with the focus that we have on the metaverse economy, it's something that we see a lot of trends now happening with Polygon and all these guys, being, let's say, yeah, having or focusing on their green footprint, right, in the industry. And it's something that has been growing and will be a big driver also in the next market cycles. We see that already with the first, let's say, happenings now. From our side with MetaGameHub, for instance, we did the first sustainable metaverse event. So we sold NFTs that basically offset your carbon footprint for that event specifically. And you could only access that event in Decentraland with actually these NFTs in your wallet. That's something that's possible in Decentraland already. To have these, let's say, gated principles. So that was our first trial, and we had like amazing feedback on that side from the community and from other industry players. And then, Amir and I got together, talked a bit more. He filled me in on the amazing things that Menthol is doing. Definitely, I think you'll give a more in-depth overview of that. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting things from our side, whether it's these NFT ticketing that can offset your footprint for events or even make it climate positive, right? Whether it's assets that can serve as a validation on top of a land in the metaverse, and thereby, kind of showing you as a brand that's representing yourself, right, in the metaverse, where the land itself is kind of like a domain, right? I said that yesterday also in my talk. Therefore, you want to present to any user, visitor, and consumer that you have that sustainability in mind. And there's a lot of amazing things also around gamifying the ReFi experience, which at times right now is a bit like, okay, yeah, all the big corporates are doing some ESG stuff, but they're just doing it to, yeah, like have a good brand and reputation. At the same time, for the masses, it's interesting, but at the same time, the way it's brought to them can be seen as a bit quote unquote boring, maybe even to some at least. And that's where the metaverse can come in and kind of as that front end quote unquote of Web3 and gamify that experience. But yeah, maybe Amir, you want to give some more insights actually on Menthol, and then we can dive a bit further into the topic.
Awesome, sounds like a plan. So maybe just let's start with the phrase regenerative finance. What does that mean? Very shortly, it's like crypto means climate. So over here, the idea also why we have this, why the next bull run will be the most regenerative one. We believe that this might be accelerating each other very nicely, climate action and Web3 adoption. The essence over here is that what we see in the market is that different projects and companies like Flow Carbon, with whom we are partnered at Menthol, they raised 70 million, led by A16Z, because they believe that the entire carbon credit market, which is a 7 billion market consisting of a voluntary and a mandatory carbon credit market, that this 20-year-old market will go on-chain for reasons of liquidity, security, automation, gamification, and basically you have a programmable unit representing environmental project. So you can build it like basically into every, if we take marketing terms, product bundle offering. Like if you have any product or service as a company you offer, you always attain to certain value points. And now we can attach an environmental project or even a social project in a very transparent, verifiable, and customer engaging way. So those are the advantages without naming it Web3. Just maybe like one level up, we've got the climate crisis. We all know about that. We know that it's a big coordination issue. We don't know how to actually react to it because it needs global coordination in a very interest divided, let's say, world. So which is coming together, right, on different ways. So we have to push for that. So the first, the solutions, the two-step solution towards climate crisis is also very clear. Firstly, reduce the carbon footprint aggressively through new processes, new technologies, and through innovations. So we have to push down as organizations or individuals the carbon footprint. And now there will always be a remaining non-avoidable carbon footprint, which any organization, community, event, or individual will have. So now it's about offsetting against the golden hour, meaning that we have little time to react to the climate crisis. So to accelerate this, it's important to account for the non-avoidable carbon footprint and not just continue boosting up carbon stuff from the ground into the air, right? And thinking nothing will happen. So by offsetting and owning the responsibility for your non-avoidable carbon footprint through verifiable climate action is something everybody would do if it would be easy. And that's where those tokenizers come into place, bringing all of those. We had 70 different impact tokens. Those are ethical tokens representing social and environmental projects. Environmental projects could be carbon credits. There are different types. It could be biodiversity, renewable energy credit, soil credit, water credit. So the cool thing is that, and that's what Menthol Protocol basically allows, you can create an account as an individual event on a product level even, and offset your historical and future carbon footprint with a few clicks. We basically are end-to-end solution, also one-stop solution from calculating the emissions, curating high impact tokens, and allowing them to be purchased in an automated way while engaging the community. Because we've been talking about different topics like how to foster Web3 adoption. We also had this lovely talk before where we understood that utilities of NFTs are very important. We have to have a reason to hold those things, which are not Web3 related or degen related for adoption. So this basically whole ReFi space might be a point, 80-90% of the people are environmental friendly. So if you can now connect directly into this environmental system, that's very interesting. Is it possible to change the slide to this one slide? I think I should ask you back there. Thanks a lot. Can we move a bit down? Or maybe actually, to this picture down here? Thanks a lot. So basically this shows the supply side of different environmental projects. and the demand side. We basically divided it into Web3 tokenized and non-Web3 sustainability projects, which are then tokenizing the projects through, for example, Toucan protocol, flow carbon, whatnot. We as Menthol have basically a user interface allowing the demand side, maybe Web3 B2B or non-Web3 B2B and B2C individuals also to offset their carbon footprint. Why I wanted to show that is that other things come into consideration over here. One time, and that's where we jump into the metaverse again, we have to build NFT's core value is community building, as we heard, at least for brands. And also that's like from a marketing perspective, exactly what one has to do. Now, additional to that element of engaging in the decision making of which projects to support and maybe incentivizing them to participate. We also have technology providers from Web 2 coming into place, providing drone data, satellite data, IoT data to create digital twins of those environmental projects. So that's where this verifiability comes into place. So I hope this was like a helpful like background on ReFi, on environmental projects being tokenized and now being built on a product level. Like a cool pool can be an Audi A4 or a Big Mac cool pool representing the environmental action of this project, and it can be part of the marketing budget, for example. So now imagine that in the metaverse, the next new internet. I think that's like a way how you basically explain what metaverse is. As like the new form or front end of the internet. So we're very excited of making Web3 the first climate positive industry together with this event over here with lovely partners and with our ReFi partners. I think we can use the remaining time to talk about use cases in the metaverse of actually integrating that. Like how could like an integration between MetaGameHub and Menthol Protocol look like?
Yes, so I mean that's actually a very good question where I think there's a lot of different arrays, right, which we already touched on a little bit. One I think is specifically around the cool pools, right, like what I mentioned earlier in the intro, the gamification that you can achieve in the metaverse, where I think that's also something really relevant for you guys, right, in regards to the leaderboards that you guys have, where you can compare how much is each, for instance, layer 1 blockchain, and like stacking up in regards to their climate footprint and all these other aspects, right? So I think like in terms of this, that's like the first low-hanging fruit of a metaverse use case that I see, where eventually, right, I mean, there's a lot of buzzwords around the metaverse and everything and what it really is. There's 100 different plus worlds, right? And often it's hard to define the metaverse. But as you said, right, at the end of the day, the metaverse is just a more 3D environment, an immersive environment of how we engage with the internet, where lands are that domain. And therefore, anything that you would now, in terms of the cool pools, right, represent in a Web 2 environment, like a standard leaderboard chart, right, 1, 2, 3, and so on, right, with the different leaders, that's something where you can have a much better visualization and gamification of that process, first of all. The second thing that I see where the metaverse can provide a lot of value is in regards to actually, you know, allowing people from all over the world to better connect, actually. Like, that's maybe not specifically something in regards to the Menthol Protocol product, right, where you can have the direct integration like into the metaverse, but more in regards to the community actually around Menthol, where right now, as far as I understand, right, the community is quite broadly spread across the globe, and that's amazing. At the same time, as we all know, Zoom meetings and G-Meets and whatever is cool, but at the same time, if we can meet up and discuss relevant topics like sustainability, right, which is a super relevant topic, you know, more immersive environments are always better to have better have more enhanced and in-depth conversations and to just have more fun, right? Because at the end of the day, everything we do should still also be fun, right? To us, at least. We don't like, I mean, what we're doing is with passion, not because we have to, right? Especially when it comes to social and sustainability related topics. I think it often is something that's close to the heart. So having these more immersive environments that support basically a better coordination, a better human coordination, and a more, let's say, coordination that is akin to the real world engagement, as if you would meet in the world, right? I think from that community aspect, actually, I haven't thought about that aspect before this talk. I was just thinking about it right now. So I think that's another very interesting use case for just for the community building and the exchange, because I feel like often people that are into topics like sustainability can feel a bit left alone, right? Because they're like in their social bubble and cluster, the only ones really caring about it. But the metaverse then provides a much better platform than, let's say, standard Web 2 social media to really engage, right, with each other. So apart from the overall gamification, the community aspect, I think a third aspect in regards to like in general Menthol Protocol's position in the metaverse is that in terms of metaverse infrastructure, right? So we're talking about the gamification of the entire Kupus, but actually when it comes to deploying scenes and assets in the metaverse, right? I mean, the footprint for one individual scene or asset is not really high, right? It's very, very low, but at the same time, if you're looking at the bigger picture in all these hundreds of different worlds, right, combined, it is still a lot. And therefore, I think, you know, if there is a way, right, to allow people that are building scenes in the metaverse and are deploying assets on top of these scenes and are constantly engaging with the metaverse to just have like a default mechanism that allows them to offset their carbon footprint and become actually climate positive, right? Which is also, by the way, something which has to be mentioned, I think, right? That what Menthol is doing is not just offsetting your carbon footprint, but actually attaining to be climate positive, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there, but that's how I understood it. And therefore, I think on that side, right, the deployment, right, of the metaverse infrastructure is something that's also quite relevant, where you could create like a cool pool, let's say, for the central, and you could create a cool pool for Sandbox, or you could create even a cool pool individually for each specific land, right? And I think that's also like a very interesting use case to, let's say, because for instance, from our side with MetaGameHub, we have this heat map, for instance, where we aggregate the different worlds, right? And what I'm just thinking about is right now it's more focusing on where is undervalued land, where is overvalued land. But in the future, you could see on this map, like, okay, which part of this map is actually a sustainable environment and which it isn't, right? And then you can also make your own decisions on which lands to, for instance, visit. Is this owner of the land, this company, this brand actually focusing on their social and climate, footprints, or are they not, right? And then maybe you don't want to go to that ecosystem and check it out. So yeah, I think that's some interesting use cases, but I don't know, maybe you have some others that I haven't thought about.
No, thanks a lot. That's amazing. At essence, I think what we understood in our conversations, what both of us are doing as a one-stop metaverse, one-stop sustainability kind of solution, at core, the ROI for all of this from a company perspective is marketing, is customer engagement, is brand awareness and positioning, and also being prepared for technology in future. So what we do with this climate action together is actually deploying strong marketing around it. For example, by coming in with other partners, allowing to build metaverse sustainability experiences, for example. That's like just a very exciting point. And basically, when talking with the companies, we have always two interesting parties coming from a sustainability perspective. It's one time the CMO. We just want to have a considerable amount of the marketing budget in the best case, and do some regenerative projects and market the hell out of that. So we are actually not only offering this service, the second point is we are creating a search engine comparing all of the Web3 projects as a default across different L1s, across different categories, NFTs, Metaverse, seeing the list, showing the most climate positive projects at the top. And what we really look forward is then going into the non-Web3 world and rolling it out there in a similar place where we bring transparency, climate action, and customer engagement together with the Web3, right? Because that's like what the digital scalable infrastructure is underneath that. Of course, this is only a tool. Behind that, there are always like hardworking people doing those environmental projects at the end. And yeah, we can bridge liquidity gaps and create marketing for them. I think it's a nice win-win-win situation. So very exciting, and we talked about many different use cases. Maybe we can like ask if there are any questions or if there are like any points we could elaborate a bit more. If not, yeah.
There is a
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
You said that your target audience in Web 2 is the marketing group. Have you also thought about the compliance managers and ESG, where ESG is located usually these days? Are you talking to those people as well?
Thanks a lot. So that's an amazing question because CMOs was actually the first part of when we were entering the market, but then we experienced that also the ESG part, of course, is very important, but even more so the CFO, because it's a risk management topic what we have over here. So actually, we do not only offer the access to, let's say, carbon credits which are purchased, which represent already verified carbon credit. We actually allow the CFOs, for example, to pre-invest into future funds of environmental projects with our partners such as Flow Carbon, who have partnered with Centrifuge, actually offering them to have interest on, that's what I meant with bridging the liquidity gap. So basically bringing in money to the supply side so that they can actually build the stuff and later on reap off the carbon credits. And on the demand side, the companies basically have their carbon credits secured or to better prices. So thanks for bringing up this very interesting point because I love that definitely. So from a marketing perspective, to have understood that through the market players on board. Yeah, thanks a lot. I hope we answered the question. Awesome.
Any other questions here? I can give you the microphone also. Directly to Nicolas or Amir. You can also maybe add some 5 minutes about use cases you're at the moment working on, and awesome. Because we also talked about some donation idea about going carbon neutral, and maybe also some insights on that. So if you want to share some insights about projects you're actually working on.
No, awesome. So actually, besides having sustainable or climate positive events in the Metaverse, as explained from here, what MetaGameHub has been working on, actually also this event will have a cool pool. So we have like a website ready. We show the different partners, the different supply partners we have. And actually every individual over here and also organization will be getting an invitation to participate over here. We've got a website, and even if you put in 1 cent, you can be sure that we'll have some cool marketing activities coming up around that. Also with different, integrated into our product, but also giving access to other utilities. Maybe we can have a talk and have some more ideas together what utilities they are. But basically, the first cool pool we had was for last week for also an event, Next Block Expo, and this is actually our second cool pool which we're having over here also for a Berlin event. So that's amazing. And we'll share some information as we just literally had like a few days to prepare all of this. We don't have everything up and running yet, but we already shared some websites which you'll definitely like, and showing you the different projects as well as a way to participate over here. We'll look forward to that. Talking about other use cases, so I think we talked over here about different use cases in the metaverse. So if we took a look at Web3 B2B, we've got L1s, we've got dApps. All of them can involve their community in the decision making of the carbon actions they take, climate actions. Now, besides apps, even individual, like celebrities, can show what they do nicely, not only like jetting around, right, but also offsetting. Same like goes for me and you, I guess, because we're traveling out so long.
And for Mr. Dennis here.
So
also to do a lot of offsetting, of course, my comments back.
Oh, great! Like there's a project from Flow Carbon. It's also a use case. They're selling NFTs, of which 60% of the proceeds go to environmental projects. The one of Doodle artists was like doing it, and they have like 8 different nice artists. It's a very interesting tool of also allowing people to offset their carbon footprint, so through NFTs. But literally, you can build in a carbon credit into any economic transaction there. So into every economic transaction, which somehow any purchase has a bad impact on the carbon footprint, or maybe on the social supply side, right? We know that few clothes of us we are wearing, like some people have like there's a difficult supply side behind that. So now you can actively integrate social action and climate action through tokenized projects. and have other Web2 like verifications there, allowing to maybe verify if that's real money going into environmental projects instead of putting money to WWF, Worldwide Fund Nature, like this logo with the panda, who like other third-party centralized organizations, instead going decentral to those environmental projects. So basically you can attach it to anything, to a watch, to a Big Mac.
In the end, the question of the next year will be, is ReFi just another buzzword? Was it really sustainable? And who will change this buzzword to something transparent, sustainable, usable, that it's not that people which are using crypto are called crypto bros, or people which are doing offsetting are called offset bros. So, I mean, do you have an answer to that? How your company wants to solve this? That it's not that jumping on a train situation, that someone is saying, hey, you just do it for that, or is there anything? I mean, in Europe, especially now coming, that it's a momentum, or what was also like this initial idea to go onto this?
Actually, yes, like the voluntary carbon credit market has like grown like 2, 3, 4 times in the last like 1, 2 years on a very short term, because that's really the only solution to claim to be carbon neutral. You have to get those environmental projects which are verified, show that you're carbon neutral. So the market is expected from 7 billion voluntary and mandatory to grow up to some say 800 billion by 2050. By some say by 2030 already even more. So there some conservatives say, okay, it'll go up to 50 billion by 2030, so from 7 billion. So there's a huge, let's say, demand coming up, because slowly our coordination has been taking a while, right? But it's now at the point like where everybody knows about it, everybody has committed to it. So there's a market being created over here, and a revenue stream for environmental projects, and a reason for investors to invest into environmental sustainable practices. So actually, like one interesting point is we're moving, like when I studied in business, first thing was every business is there to maximize shareholder value. Or it's only about the cash for the shareholder, nothing else. Now we had Amazon coming in saying, okay, customer centricity. We want to maximize the customer lifetime value theoretically, and then they'll pump in money for that. So that's like what a shift in thinking, also through new technologies, scalable, right? So now it's actually a regenerative approach where we take Mother Earth into account. That's also, I didn't mention why regenerative finance differs from traditional finance. It differs in its ethics, fundamentals, and strategy. It's not about accumulation of wealth. It's about creating circular systems and accounting as a mean, as like the end of a mean, to have happy stakeholders, including Mother Earth and including the maybe children along the supply side of our products we're wearing. So it's more like pushing into this direction. So yeah, we want to create a lot of marketing around it.
Yeah, just from my side, in regarding your hype part, I think, you know, at the end of the day, everything will have these hype cycles, whatever trend it is, and of course, there's always going to be people that take advantage of that situation in a positive or negative way, right? But it's just how the markets move, right? And therefore, I think, you know, after each hype, there also comes utility and value. And if the next bull market will be driven, at least in part, by a ReFi hype, then eventually that will be good, right? Because let's take, for instance, DeFi. We had the entire DeFi hype. We had hundreds of DeFi projects, you know, emerging, and of course, most of them are now gone. But at the same time, in times like now, where we have all these centralized exchanges and all that stuff blowing up, we see the value of DeFi. And I feel like just from the sentiment in the market now, actually, true utility of DeFi and true value of DeFi, apart from high yields, is coming, right? So I think with ReFi and other hypes, it will be kind of similar, no? Like, sure, there's a period where this is overhyped a little bit, and then there's also people just negatively taking advantage of it. But at the same time, it drives adoption forward, and it is in essence valuable, because you also can take a lot of learnings, right, from these hypes. And you know, of course, no financial advice, but definitely there's a growing trend around ReFi, and well, there's also going to be a hype probably, but yeah, the outcome will be, in the long run at least, positive, right, for the adoption.
I just want to compare it a bit to that startup scene here in Berlin, when investors are investing in normal startups, and then it came the times now we only invest in sustainable startups, now we only invest in women's, now we only invest in, it's kind of, you know, always this niche thinking, and my fear is only, okay, now we are only investing in ReFi to rescue the world, but most of them have only financial idea behind for their own story and storytelling and branding. And if a company is there like yours, changing that to a very good storytelling and that really good people and ambassadors are built. Like we heard before, it's all about ambassadors really into it. And in the morning of our conference, we also talked about a lot of DAOs, and in a DAO, people are really have skin in the game just for being part and bringing something in. And I hope that the ReFi market will not filled all with all this opportunists of thinking, hey, with carbon credits you can make billions of money, and that the next ICO hype is built on ReFi. So I'm very happy we know each other for a long time. That you take skin in the game, and was very informative. And I thank you very much for your time. And we see us later, of course, for some drinks and some short notice. The gallery upstairs is so amazing. You should really later during some panels go there to look into. We built 14 Beamer installations, 6 4K installations. We're recording podcasts there. It's a huge room, and take some time later with some beer. The beer is already available, so the Meta Brew Society is welcoming you, and best regards from Holger. Don't forget, until the end of the evening, if you want to participate also in their mint, just one ETH to have a lifetime beer vouchers. Think about it. Yesterday, a lot of people joined the talk. No financial advice, but it's amazing to support partners. And food is also still there, and also our boosters are very happy to support you. We have CryptoTicker also with their mint of their memberships. We have the Blockchains, which is taking part next June in Hamburg, presenting. MetaGameHub is having a great boost, and also from a Canada company and Fanzone. So just talk to them. They are happy. You get a lot of insights, and also talk to a lot of speakers here during the day. And we'll continue now with the next individual talk. And thanks for jumping in, because we made it very spontaneously. This is also why Amir is few space here, but Menthol Protocol also for the recording is right. And Nicolas Weber was making MetaGameHub DAO just because we publish also this recording afterwards. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.